It all started with Nikolas Lloyd, popularly known as Lindybeige, stating that it appears the kids these days pronounce machicolations as machicolations. And of course, the most famous person who refers to such things as machicolations is fellow YouTuber Shadiversity. Shad, who refers to the University of Shad, that's where the channel name comes from, famously shouts out machicolations, and it's become quite a meme that he does so. Matt Easton then got in on it, and he stated that it came from French, and possibly from Crusader castles, and then into the French language, and then into English, and that it meant that it should be pronounced as machicolations. He added a bit of a French accent onto it, but nonetheless. And Shadiversity, or Shad, forgotten his surname for the moment, very Australian, ordinary one, he stated then that, you could pronounce different things different ways, and he referred to what Nikolas Lloyd referred to, where you could originally call night connect and things like that. Now, machicolations does come from French, and it originally comes from Latin, so Oxford would define it as coming from an Anglo-Latin basis. Now, as Shad later clarified, it seems that machicolations are much older than Crusader castles, and so the concept in the West is an older concept than that. Now, the answer that Matt Easton's scholar Gladiatoria's answer that it should be machicolations, being the answer to it, is actually not what the Oxford Dictionary of English defines it as. Oxford Dictionary of English has an M, it has the SWAC character, it has a T, it has the character for an SH sound. So it's actually, per Oxford, it's machicolations. Now, there's no U sound in that, they have the SWA instead of the U, the sound. But at the same time, that's something that Oxford often does. You might have many ordinary words where you'd have a U sound or an O sound, and Oxford will do that. Now, if it does come from French origins, it doesn't come from Parisian French, despite Matt Easton having someone who speaks modern French, which is Parisian French, pronounce the French version of it for him. It in fact comes from a different form of French. The different forms of French were pronounced differently. That's why you refer to a beret in English and a beret in French, because the A sound was emerged into the English language from one version of French, which came from before the French Revolution, and the Parisian French was enforced on the entirety of France after the French Revolution at some point. So if you speak in ordinary English, what Shad uses for machicolations, or machicolations as I would say, or as Oxford would say, is in fact correct. However, machicolations or machicolations, like I would say Oxford would say, is correct. However, if you want to pronounce it slightly different or in different ways, as I said, is an academic word which has largely been lost in ordinary English. But Shad's pronunciation is not at all incorrect, and where Nikolas Lloyd says that, like many words of Greek origin, he wants to say machicolations, well, perhaps that's how a lot of academics have been pronouncing it, but overall, that's a pronunciation he can use if he wants to. But the Oxford Dictionary for Received English would say machicolations, very similar to how Shad actually pronounces it, minus the Australian accent.